Whenever Pokemon releases a new era, one thing I do is I always try and think as the era progresses, what is going to be the generational set of the era? Not necessarily for investments, not necessarily for plays in the future, but sometimes, yes. But a lot of the times, it's just a fun game I like to play with myself. I look back on the era. I go, did I get that right? Did I not get that right? Phantom Forces, Team Up, Evolving Skies. For Scarlet and Violet, who knows? It's almost too early for me to tell. You could argue 151, Prismatic, Destined Rivals, right? Probably the three most people pick. But for the Sword and Shield era, it was almost pretty certain. I feel like a lot of people knew that Evolving Skies was the generational set for that era. Um, tons of top tier chase cards. The set has like a $6,000 value. We got an over $2,000 booster box for this set, and right now it's kind of stagnant, along with the whole Sword and Shield era. It seems, but how long is it going to stay that way? That's the big question. Here's the thing: Sword and Shield had its leg up here recently. And it's kind of the Mega Evolution, it's Ascended Heroes time, it's kind of Prismatic 151's time from the Scarlet and Violet era. Those three sets, one of them potentially could be the generational set of their era. Ascended Heroes could very easily be the generational set of the Mega Evolution block. But for the Sword and Shield era, it's definitely Evolving Skies. The numbers support that, right? Fusion Strike, not terribly far behind, but yeah, I guess when you think about it, it's more than double behind. But Evolving Skies, again, released almost 5 years ago at this point. Again, top tier chase cards. Sealed product is insanely expensive. And that's what we're uncovering in today's video. We're going to get a sealed product. We're going to review some cards. At the end of the video, we'll talk more about how Pokemon, it doesn't matter how bad, quote unquote, the era might seem, there is always one set in that era that people like and they chase the cards in and they want to collect the sealed products. But let's jump straight into it. Jump on TCG Player here. We do have the Evolving Skies booster box. On release, if you see the box, you're like, green, yellow, like kind of an ugly box, really. Like Fusion Strike's a way better looking box. I know I always talk about the boxes and the artwork on them, but as a collector, it kind of matters to me. I like the way the sealed product looks. But at this point now, it's just like almost nostalgic looking, and it's like just so unique looking with the colors. But I brought up the 6-month chart for the booster box, so that way we could see the dip that it took from October to like the beginning of the year here. So last year, at the beginning of October, they were selling for around $2,500 on average. And then, like a lot of things in Pokemon, the whole hobby saw a pretty significant dip. We went from 2,500 down to, at the very end of December, 2,100. 3 of them sold, and then after that, like I said, a lot of things in the hobby, singles and sealed included, started climbing back up. There was one point here where, what was it? Yeah, 14 sold within this 5-day span at 2,200. Another 12 sold, and then it kind of just slowly dips off as it gets back up to that original pricing that we talked about at 2,500. 43 sold at the beginning of, well, this month. Anyway, that's like an 8-day period, 43 at an average sale price of $2,400. But if you look at the 3-month chart, it's up 16% on the 3-month chart. But the last solds for the booster box, 2,650, 2,600, 2,600, 2,613. All right, I brought up the Evolving Skies booster box case, and talk about out of reach for people. This thing is insanely expensive. Last solds on this, 1,680, 15,000, 15,000. Oh, I'm sorry, 14,500, 14,374. There is a premium. If you picked one up, I think 16,800. That'd put the box at like around $2,800. So there is a premium for the Evolving Skies booster box case, which isn't terribly surprising. All right, their regular Elite Trainer box. This is the Umbreon version, and no surprise that is more expensive than the Espeon version, up about 30% on the 3-month chart. At the end of last year, they were selling for $378, $380, and then let's see here, it broke 400 at the middle end of February, and then we're straight up here to Within the last 2 days, three of them sold at an average price of 493. The last listed, or the last solds, I'm sorry, 550, 540, 540, 540, and a 532 for the Umbreon ETB. Now we have the Espeon ETB. It's also up about 34% on the 3-month chart. Last solds for this, 529, 517, 523, 522. So, I mean, not terribly cheaper, but cheaper. I mean, for me, honestly, I prefer the art of the Espeon box. I like the colors better. But okay, Pokemon Center ETB Umbreon version up about 6.2% on the 3-month charts. Last solds on the PC ETB here, 1,000, 845, 845, 1350. Prices fluctuating a good bit for the PC ETBs. Not terribly surprising that it's only up 6% on the 3-month chart. It seems like that PC ETBs, like, yes, they're very exclusive, and yes, they fetch a higher price, but they have their ebbs and flows. It's like it'll stay at a very expensive price, and it'll stay there for a while, and then everybody will kind of just like, not really care about PC ETBs. A couple will be picked up here or there. There's only 13 sold within the last 3 months with this one. PC ETBs are, again, for me, it's a collector's piece. It's not really something that I would, really be interested in buying a case of. I'd rather have 6 regular ETBs and 6 PC ETBs if I'm solely doing it to invest, personally. The Espeon PC ETB up about 6% on the 3-month chart. Last solds for this, 1,514, 895, 909, 900, and 887 for the Espeon. Sleeve booster packs. This is more so for how I like to collect, how I like to, we'll call it quote unquote invest. I've said it before. I'm more of like a collector who accidentally invests. I usually buy what I like. If there's a set that I know is going to perform really well, yes, I might buy an ETB or two, a booster box, maybe one. But if I don't like the set and there's other things I like better, I will just buy that instead. Pokemon, the boxes just go up. They go up whether it's a good set or a bad set if you wait long enough. And again, I buy what I like because I want to enjoy the hobby. I don't want to go out of my way to struggle to find things that are, they're going to perform, but at the end of the day, you don't really care if you have it or not. And that's just not how I like to collect. That's not how I like to invest. So I don't do it that way. But these sleeve booster packs, I like these. I like adding these to my collection. It's kind of something that I've been doing lately, is picking up sleeve booster packs. I kind of want to get 5 of, well, to be honest, as many eras as I can. I'm kind of working on Sword and Shield, and I have most of the Scarlet and Violet at this point, but up about 9% for the sleeve booster packs. You can pick them up in around $46 at the end of the year. The end of last year, up to about $52 at the end of last month. Went down around 50. We're kind of hovering that 50 to $51 range. So look at some last solds here. 3 sold today for $50, $49, $49, $52, and $52 for the sleeve booster packs. I really like the sleeve booster packs. I mean, for the most part, these can't really be tampered with. So sleeve booster packs for me, I really do enjoy, especially for these expensive sets that are hard to get into. Like if you don't want to pay $500 for an ETB or $2,600 for a booster box, sleeve booster packs are the way to go, in my opinion. Okay, we just got the raw pack here, up 27% on the 3-month chart. Market price of $40. Last solds though, well, 38, 40, 10 at 40, and 5 at 40. I like to bring these up because there are people who do invest, collect, and buy to rip, obviously, just the regular packs. Just not something that I indulge in. I don't indulge in this. Maybe if I really trusted somebody, I really trusted, your local LGS or your favorite e-commerce store, online store, sure, go for it. Obviously, it's your choice. With stuff like this, these single packs, I feel like, especially in the Sword and Shield era, I don't go there. I pass it up. I move on. I'd rather just pay the premium, the extra money for the sleeve booster packs, just to make sure that I'm getting something that's not been tampered with or weighed. All right, we're moving on to the cards, and obviously we're going to start with the Umbreon VMAX. the top chase card of the entire era, only up about 4% on the 3 month chart. Let's go to the 6 month chart. Down 20% on the 6 month chart, hitting a high on the 6 month chart around, let's see, yeah, 2,279. A couple of them sold at that price last October, down to under 2,000. Another low here, down to about 1,679. Slightly going back up. Let's see what the very last ones were here. Last couple days, two of them sold at an average price of 18.24 for this VMAX. Last solds 500. I don't believe that. I don't know what's going on with that one. We'll skip that one. All right, 2,300, 2,241, 1849, and 2,300 for the last souls on the Umbreon VMAX. I tell you what, Umbreon nowadays, it's just as popular as Charizard. It's just as popular as Pikachu. Honestly, I feel like with the Sword and Shield era, with the Moonbreon, with the Scarlet and Violet era, with the Sunbreon, I don't know how you could really argue that Umbreon's just as popular as Charizard, just as popular as Pikachu. And it kind of seems like it's more popular with this younger generation, to be honest. But my favorite card from the set, the Rayquaza VMAX, this is, I wouldn't say by far, but this is definitely, without a doubt in my head, my favorite card in the set. This is an awesome card. Only up about 5% on the 3 month chart. Last solds 692, 650, 800, 784, and 761 for the Rayquaza VMAX. This is awesome. This is awesome. I really hope we get a Rayquaza set in the Mega era. That would be awesome. Dragonite V, one of my favorite Dragonite cards I've ever seen, to be honest. Down 10% on the 3 month chart. Let's look at the high here. It looks like the high was around 400, slightly over. And then we're dipping down, got all the way down to around 363. We're kind of hovering at that low point for the 3 month, on the 3 month chart right now. Last couple days, two of them sold at an average price of 362. Last solds 361, 360. That's Chinese. 361 and 360 for the Dragonite. Yeah, this is an awesome card. This is an awesome card. This Dragonite, the original fossil Dragonite, my two favorite Dragonites, really, really awesome cards. And I'm not gonna lie, the Mega Dragonite from Ascended Heroes, also pretty far up there. The Espeon, this card is up about 18% on the 3 month chart. Looks like we hit a low here around 173 at the end of last year. And this card just kind of goes up from there. Let's see, within the last like 4 days, four of them sold at an average price of 205. Last sold 190, 190, 191, 192, and a 216. Sylveon V, alternate art, down about 7.5% on the 3 month chart. Last solds 129, 147, 150, 156. Sylveon, it's down there on the list for my favorite evolutions, but it is obviously very popular. This Glaceon V is one of my favorite artworks in the entire set. The alternate art here up about 11% on the 3 month chart. Last solds 129, 117, 129, 130, 114 for the Glaceon. Leafeon. I see, generally I really like Leafeon as like one of my favorites, but this isn't my favorite Leafeon card. The Leafeon in Prismatic Evolutions blows this one out of the water, in my opinion. Up 0.5% on the 3 month chart. The end of last year was over around 112, dipped down below 100 around 97, 95, but we've been straight up since then. Last solds for this Leafeon 120, 120, 115, 113, 111 for that one. The Noivern, the only reasonably priced alternate art, it seems like, or one of, in this set, down 9% on the 3 month chart. Last solds for this 53, 64, 61, 55, and 56. I mean, the artwork looks great. The colors are very cool. Noivern just, it's not it's obviously not a lot of people's favorite Pokemon, or this probably would be $100+, especially being in Evolving Skies. But the dark theme, it just looks cool. It is a cool looking card. But I just have to pass on it because Noivern it's just not one of my favorite Pokemon. The Golurk alternate art, again, another alternate art in this set that doesn't perform very well. It is up 19% on the 3 month chart. Let's check out the 6 month chart. Yeah, up about 14%. It was like hovering in like the low 20s got down to $20, almost even, and then popped right up. 64 of them sold at $25. A little bit of a buy out there. Last solds 22 or 23, 25, 25, 25, and 27 for that card. The artwork looks nice. I do like the artwork. It's just, it's not a popular Pokemon. All right, rainbow cards. You guys will let me know down in the comments. How do you feel about rainbow cards? I thought, honestly, when the rainbows got, well, the first time we saw rainbows, I was like, not my favorite. And I felt like that was kind of the sentiment for the entire hobby. I could be wrong, but, well, they're obviously not as popular, right? You can tell by the prices. And I thought that the rainbows would grow on me over time, and they still might. I guess they could. They still could, because a lot of people, the megas from XY, nobody liked those, or a lot of people didn't like those. And until we got the Mega Evolution era revealed to us, and that we were getting like those Mega Attack rare cards that were like nostalgic throwbacks to the XY era, a lot of people went back to the XY era, looked at the Mega cards, and were like, oh, you know what? These are actually kind of cool. I like these. So I guess that could happen if Pokemon decides to do rainbows again, but not my favorite. But I will say the actual artwork on the card, the Pokemon being there outside of the rainbow, looks great. This Rayquaza card is really cool. Only up about a percentage point on the 3-month chart. Last sold 75, 100, 84, 84, 70. The Umbreon, surprisingly, the Rayquaza outperforming the Umbreon for the rainbow rare here. Up about 14% on the 3-month chart for the Umbreon. Last solds 58, 70 essentially, 59, 64 for that one. And we'll get to my favorite rainbow rare. Again, rainbow rare is not my favorite, but Gyarados is one of my favorite Pokemon, really far up there for me. This is an awesome artwork for Gyarados. It's really cool. I'd love to see some more Gyarados cards. Gyarados SIR, please. Somebody put that in any set. I don't care what set it is at this point. Up about 16% on the 3-month chart, though, for this card. Last solds 35, 35, 40, and 40 for the Gyarados Rainbow Rare there. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this video. If you're enjoying, like, subscribe. It would be greatly appreciated. But the question I want to leave you with at the end of this video is, when do you think the next leg up for Sword and Shield is going to be? Evolving Skies is not going to stay at $2,600 a box forever. So, I could easily see within the next 2, 3, 4 years, this box being well over $4,000. So, yeah, if you're wanting to pick up sealed, if you're wanting to pick up singles, in my opinion, I think now's the time for Sword and Shield. Again, obviously, I don't want to tell you what to buy. I don't tell you what to do. That's just what I'm looking at. Everybody's looking at Ascended Heroes. Everybody's looking at 151 and Prismatic Evolutions. Nobody's talking about Sword and Shield. That's what I'm looking at for singles and for sealed. But yeah, I posed a question to you guys. When do you think Sword and Shield is going to see the next leg up? Honestly, I would not be surprised if it's the rest of this year. I could see it being relatively stagnant for the rest of the year. There's a lot going on this year. Ascended Heroes is insanely popular. Insanely popular. Supposedly, we have a Rayquaza set coming out. Come on, Rayquaza set. Probably going to be insanely popular. The elephant in the room, the 30th anniversary. It's going to draw all kinds of attention. Gen 10, probably not going to release till 2027, it doesn't seem like. But my point is, this year is jam-packed with just stuff happening in the hobby. And I can easily see Sword and Shield being lost in that shuffle of this year. And I can see it staying relatively flat, to be honest. So again, maybe now's the time to pick up some Sword and Shield. Guys, I appreciate you watching. If you want to see more, subscribe. If you enjoyed, leave a like, and I will see you in the next one.